Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music. 2-5 pairs. They're a kind of chord relationship that's crucial to jazz, lo-fi, neo-soul. Really lives intrinsically in classical music and even in the Baroque if you dig in and look at it. I don't usually talk about functional harmony, but today I want to just do a little review. Let's dive in. Okay, before we begin, I just want to say that if this is the second or third video of mine that you've watched and you're not subscribed, and I know there are people who are on this channel a lot who aren't subscribed because, we've got analytics here. Now's a great time to subscribe. I'm approaching 6,000 subscribers, and it's a delight for me to be facilitating this community of people who are interested in musical excellence, growth, self-exploration. I started the channel as an outlet for myself and some of my students during the pandemic lockdown. And I didn't really expect it to be so interesting for me. I'm fascinated by what this community has to offer, both, as a teacher and as a student. For myself, I get so much out of the amazing YouTube teachers and just kind of like presenters, content makers, as I guess we should call ourselves, that we have out there right now. I'm really grateful to be able to do this. It's fun to be able to do reviews of software, and it's great to talk with you guys about what's interesting for you. As I'm sure you must realize by now, I'm primarily a teacher. I'm interested in creating an environment that makes you able to do what you want to do. And it could be very, very different from what I'm interested in. Well, what I'm mostly interested in as a composer and pianist and, keyboardist in general is expressivity within the context of non-functional harmony. In fact, I'm very interested in pandiatonic or modal saturation. Now, that's a pretty modern concept. And today we're going to look at something that's, I guess, a little more retro, but retro in a way that is baked into all of our appreciations of music. So a quick review, and then we're going to jump forward. So you probably know this already, but every scale has seventh chords built on each degree of the scale. A degree of the scale is just the next step. I'm playing notes only from the C scale and building seventh chords on each of them. And you can see those seventh chords are built in stacks of thirds. Now, a stack of thirds is not the only way to build that chord. For instance, those four notes there could just as easily be expressed like this, spreading them out. And in fact, I think that's the way a lot of arrangers will do it. In any case, here we have the one chord, that's C, the two chord, D, the three chord, so on and so forth. Now, for our purposes, we really want to take a look at what the qualities of these chords are. The one chord is a 1, major third, fifth, major seventh. The two chord in a major scale is a minor seventh chord. The third is minor. This F right here is a minor third and a minor seventh. Now, if I scoot on up to the fifth degree of the scale, G, I've got a combination in a way of those two chords. I've got a major third, but a minor seventh. It's called the dominant chord, and it makes for a very important sound. It makes for this sound here. The dissonant interval between the third and the seventh, between B and F, really wants to resolve. It really wants to resolve inwards to C and E in this case. In other words, the 5 chord wants to resolve to 1. And this motion, 5, 1, is probably the single most important motion in functional harmony, and in harmony as it was practiced from sometime around the 15th century right up to the beginning of the 20th. And as a result, it's sort of baked into our expectations. Well, those expectations can be worked with, right? The idea that there's a possibility of like going 5, 1 means that there's another possibility too. What's the fifth of G. Well, the fifth of G is D. So D is the fifth of G, which is the fifth of C. What's the fifth of D? A is the fifth of D, which is the fifth of G, which is the fifth of C. And that leads to what my teacher called the harmonic highway. I'm going to play you a simple harmonic highway. E minor 7, A7, D minor 7, G7, C. I said it was simple, but I added 13ths and 9ths, but it's just the way my hands tend to work. You see the way the bass flew there? Now it's fascinating. 2 5 pairs become the backbone for so much interesting music. I'll show you what I mean. Let's say I just want to kind of like live here on a C chord. But I want to kind of modulate now, and for some reason I want to go to an F chord and really feel like the F is a new location. I can cheat. I can say minor 7, G minor 7, dominant chord, C7, now I'm on F. Did you see how the minor 7 chord came out of nowhere? G minor 7, kind of a borrowed chord, really. But I said in my head, it's the 2 chord. And then, of course, C is the 5 chord of F. And now I'm at F. I've gracefully modulated to a new key, at least for a moment, within the context of the song. So C. And here comes the G minor 7, C7, and now I'm at F. And suddenly that kind of jazzy sound is just right there. We could think of it as kind of a modern or neo-soul sound as well. So here's my C7, C major 7, and then G minor 7, C7, F. I want to go to E flat. F minor 7, B flat, E flat. I want to go back home to C. D minor 7, G7 flat 9, C. And if you look closely at what I just did, you can see a gradual downward motion and the way the thirds and the sevenths expand and contract. C, 2, 5 to F. It's a beautiful chord progression. And then F minor 7 is a 2, 5, B flat to E flat. And now I want to go back home to C, so D minor 7, G7 flat 9, C. Great neo-soul progression. Well, of course, jazz composers and composers of Tin Pan Alley have been using 2 5 pairs to create momentary locations within songs, new key signatures, just tiny little key levels forever. In fact, let's take a look at a couple of classic tunes and see how it works. In Duke Ellington's Satin Doll, for instance, even if you don't read music, it's easy to see a 2 5 pair right here, D minor 7, G7, followed by another 2 5 pair, E minor 7, A7, E minor 7, A7. It's the 2 5 pair leading to D. The tune started off basically in C. And then for a moment, it feels like it's in D. Here's another 2 5 pair, A minor 7, D7. G, right? And then another 2 5 pair, A flat minor 7, D flat 7. That's the 2 5 pair of G flat 7. Now, what has always fascinated me about this tune is the melody itself stays pretty much exclusively in that A section using notes that are members of the C scale. So, and then I'm in a new key, but the B and the A, they're notes from still the key of C. And then those are also notes from C, and we don't get altered tones until we get to the G flat 2 5, right? The bridge goes on, and we have another 2 5 pair. It's like a teaching piece. It's a great teaching piece, and you can see the melody has an alteration. I'm in F. And then now I'm in G. Great teaching tune, a bunch of 2-5 pairs. In fact, if you look at it, there's 5 2-5 pairs in that tune. In fact, in a way of speaking about it, we're sort of living in sort of 5 different key levels, and I would use different scales for each of those pairs. Let's look at another tune, and it really does exemplify this idea that melodic tones can stay in one key while the harmonic language suggests different key levels. The tune is My Romance, and we're in the key of B flat. And if I quickly look at what's happening, say, here, I see 1, 2, 3 descend a diminished passing chord back to 2, 5, 1. In a way, it's a very normal, I guess I would just say a very normal sound. And then 2, 5, 1 to B flat. But then that B flat 7 is followed by D7, which is the 5 of G minor, and sure enough, there's G minor. So this is a push to G minor, isn't it? Later on in the tune, at the first ending, B flat major 7 becomes B flat 7. B flat 7 is the 5 of E flat, and that's the first chord in the bridge. We've really kind of drifted around key center-wise and created new worlds. There are a couple of other beautiful moments in this tune. For instance, right here where E minor 7 flat 5 and A7 flat 9 resolve to D minor. That's a classic 2-5 to a minor. It's a beautiful sound. Beautiful sound. And then the whole thing starts again. But if we look at the melody, and this is why I love this song, you can see, I don't know if you can, maybe you can or can't read music, but look for sharps and flats in this melody. And all of these notes are natural to the scale we're in. In other words, even with 3 or 4 different key levels, every melodic tone is still in the key that we started in, despite the fact I'm sort of in the key of G minor here. I haven't got any alterations. G7 is the 5 of C minor. So it's kind of like a game that a composer plays or a soloist plays to try to pick notes that allude directly to the key that you started the tune in and the listener's ear is comfortable with, while still creating sort of secondary key levels harmonically. In other words, it's like taking a character, an individual, a protagonist from a story, and placing them in increasingly more perilous situations, and hopefully we can resolve the danger and bring them back home again. This is what's exciting about functional harmony. And functional harmony has been used for centuries in order to create this kind of narrative line where a familiar key signature, perhaps a familiar motif, is placed in different settings to create a sense of peril, because all stories are about tension and release, and you want to go like, oh, can the poor composer get himself out of F sharp minor 7 flat 5? Sure they can. Well, fascinating stuff. Hope it's been useful. Like and subscribe, ding the bell. You'll be notified when I do my videos, and I will see you next time.